Welcome to Nature at our doorstep. Coming up on today's show, I learned the do's and don'ts of scuba diving in the great outdoors. In Green Shop, we take a look at how you can bring nature to your doorstep.
No one is alone in environmental protection.
In Green Profile, meet National Youth Achievement Award winner Joyce Koh. Nigel takes a walk on the wild side at Pulau Ubin. But first, we go check out the Mandai mangroves. In 1819, mangroves covered about 13% of Singapore. Now less than 1% remain. To find out more about this alarming statistic, I made a trip down to the Mandai mangroves with Siva. Siva's a mangrove expert with the National University of Singapore. He was also my tutor during my school days. If there was anyone who knew anything about mangroves, Siva would be the man.
Can you tell me about your first time in Mandai?
Well, the first time I came here was in, I think it was 1987. I didn't have a clue as to the name of any plant. And well, this is where I got introduced to mangroves.
Oh, okay. Oh, what have you got here? This is a pair of horseshoe crabs we found down there.
Oh, lovely. It's nice to see two wonderful animals. These are quite rare now. They used to be very common here in this area. But now, you know, we've been walking for quite a while before you spotted a pair.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's not just local phenomena. Internationally, they're endangered as well.
These are rare and primitive creatures. I'm gonna put them back in the water.
Yanni, this is one of my favorites. It's a species of Rhizophora, you know, the very common plant. But this species is Rhizophora mucronata and it's very large. So when you're teaching, it's so easy to see everything. And you know, one of the things we tell students is if you turn back the side of the leaf, you see these little black spots.
All these tiny black spots.
Yeah, and there are lots and lots of them on this species, so it's really easy to see. Yeah. And this is, of course, the hypocotyl. Nice, very large structure, also easy to spot. And if you look at this tree behind us, you find that some are dangling down from the branches. This is a baby that refuses to leave the mother. It starts growing and it's got a head start before it lets go and makes its way in the world. So they all can float, and so they can spread, you know, from Mandai they could go all the way to Johor. Yeah, and then find a suitable place and then grow up there. So it's a very neat system, but because of their shape, if they happen to fall during the low tide, you see they actually get stuck in the ground. And that's a nice clean looking one. But if you look to your left, you can see there's a couple of them. They got completely covered by barnacles. Yeah, and the incrustation is so severe, these guys may not even survive.
The Mandai area is formerly a kampong, and this is one of the signs that there were formerly settlement here. This is a noni tree. The villagers used to plant it for medicinal purposes, and if you look up there, you might even see some of the smaller fruits.
Well, how do you like the view?
Very open.
This used to be the steps leading up to a house, and presumably even the spring tide wouldn't reach this high, and you'd had the whole platform out here.
So the house will be on stilts?
Yeah, all the houses were on stilts here because the tide would come in, and it would have been lovely during high tide.
High tide, just
Yeah,
to
with the
open
water
window
lapping on the edge and
water outside.
you could tie your boat just on the outside and then just walk in and you're home. There's no long journey back to the city. So this is just one flight of steps. As we walk through the forest, you'll see several others. You can see them even now peppered in the background.
Here.
Yeah, it's only the steps and sometimes some of the steps. Yeah, the foundations were concrete. The rest of it was all wood.
Biodegradable.
Yeah, so when they left and they knocked it all down, there's hardly a sign left. You can't see anything from the coast, you can't see anything from the land. But if you walk through the trees, then there's a ghostly reminder of a thriving kampong that used to be here. Yeah, well, it's some pretty hard walking in mud flat, but the waders love it. They land on the flats, they don't sink, they're very light, got nice spread out feet, and then they go and it's rich and it's full of food. And look at the expanse. It stretches all the way. We're in Mandai, the causeway is over there, and it stretches all the way past Kranji to Buloh and Lim Chu Kang. So, you know, we think of Sungai Buloh being a distinct entity, but actually the birds there are feeding in Mandai as well. So you want to keep Sungai Buloh thriving, then you've got to keep Mandai. It's all interconnected. Yeah, so it seems like far away, but you realize it's just a short hop across. And here we are standing in what's the biggest expanse of mangrove in mainland Singapore. It's a real jewel.
We went to relatively pristine mangrove areas back there. We hardly see any rubbish, but now you come to the collection point. This is a strand line. You can see a whole bunch of rubbish being collected up here. 90% of this is plastic. I used to get involved in coastal cleanup. We used to come here and collect rubbish to bring out and to clean it up, but we can't make a dent. There's so much things down here. As you can see, we have everything from plastic bottles to cans, balls, sometimes you even get car parts and refrigerators inside here. What we do in our urban environment can help or damage our natural environment. So reduce, reuse and recycle.
Feel like the weather has gotten hotter in Singapore? We have all our asphalt and concrete from our urban development to thank for it. These materials absorb heat instead of reflecting them back towards the sky. This heat absorption results in what is known as the urban heat effect.
Plants can help to cool our environment in different ways. Firstly, plants can help to shade building surfaces, such as rooftops and facades, and thereby cut down the heat intake from the exterior to the interior. Secondly, plants can absorb part of the incoming solar radiation and thereby reflect less of it back to the ambient environment. And thirdly, plants in the process of transpiration, which is the loss of water vapor from the leaves, helps to draw heat from the environment and thereby helps to cool the air above the plants. In an experiment that we did, the ambient air temperature was reduced by as much as 4 degrees Celsius with the presence of plants.
At the moment, the HDB has caught on to the idea and crowned 22 of its multi-storey car parks with greenery. In Singapore, with so many high-rise buildings, sky-rise screening has been a common practice, especially among HDB dwellers. Just take a walk along any HDB walkway or common corridor, and you're bound to run into patches of greenery.
One can buy plants other than flowering plants or foliage plants. For instance, one can buy seeds of common vegetables and herbs and spices in supermarkets. Or if you visit nurseries, you can also buy edible plants such as aloe vera, fragrant pandan, again herbs and spices to green up our living spaces and at the same time double up as a convenient source of cooking ingredient.
Skyrise gardening not only helps to enhance your environment, it also brings neighbours closer together, as this pair will attest to.
Yeah, when she's free, she do all the cutting and cleaning, and I water all. But I like her because she do it very neatly. So we like nature. Yes. They are so beautiful. How can you don't like plants? Nature, what?
Yes. It's so beautiful. Release your stress. Your place will look very beautiful with plants.
At the city level, the provision of greenery helps to beautify our city, to make it more attractive. It helps to provide psychological relief against the stresses of living in a very highly urbanized environment. And the presence of plants also help to create conducive outdoor spaces for social interaction and community bonding. And last but not least, the presence of plants help to improve the quality of our physical living environment. For instance, by mitigating the urban heat island effect and removing the pollutants from the air.
For more information on skyrise greening, visit the MParks website.
I'm an environmentalist and I've been working with the National Youth Achievement Award Council as well as the HSBC on environmental projects like way back in 1997. Yeah, that's how I first got to know about the National Youth Achievement Award. People used to think that environment clubs are just clubs that you do gardening and you just pick a little bit of litter and then you try to put the place spick and span clean. But I think there's more to it than that. It all began in my ECA. I made that choice. I joined the group and I got the information and the passion developed from there. I started when I was 17, but nowadays youth, they all start when they are in secondary schools, 13, as young as even primary school. They already have the environmental consciousness, and it is a good sign because we need this kind of mentality in order to promote the term sustainability. If we want the environment to be in good condition, this is the kind of mentality and mindset that we need. And the youth today, they receive the necessary education and they know what is right, what is wrong, and what is important and what is crucial at this moment in time, especially towards the well-being of the environment. I think that I can help them in this way, meaning that I can tell them or advise them on what are the issues of concern, and if they need any help, I feel that I can be able to facilitate their needs.
I've known her since junior college days when she was at Anderson Junior College, and we had actually nurtured and groomed her all the way to university. She's a good role model, and we would like young people in Singapore to look at her as a catalyst that if she can do it, I can do it too, you know.
Through NYAA, I was given many opportunities to pursue my interests, especially like in the international arena. I get to mix around with people from the different regions in Asia Pacific, like the Australians, the people in Vietnam, the Thais, the Indonesians, the Philippines. We exchange environmental issues.
The NYAA is a very interesting youth development program. Basically, it comprises 4 components: community service, teaching youth how to serve the community, expedition or adventure program to promote the spirit of adventure, skill development, it could be a hobby, it could be life skills, and physical recreation, any sports, be it competitive or recreational. And there are 3 levels of the award: bronze, silver and gold. Bronze and silver, if you complete the award, you receive from a minister. For the gold, you receive from the president. It's the pinnacle of the NY program. I think it's important to have such a program to draw the potential of our young and develop them to the fullest. For example, Joyce, you know, she's passionate about the environment and that's what she likes. So the NY provide her a platform and a vehicle to progress from there. And a lot of our youth has done very well, not just at national level, but at international level, all the way up to United Nations Environment Programs level. And they have done Singapore proud by their representation. Well, I think I'm very optimistic about the young energy that we have in Singapore. And you know, young people, they have all this energy, and unless this energy are channeled into something constructive, the outcome can be quite different.
We should not take the environment for granted, and we should not think that there's a limit to what we can do and there's a limit to our ability, and wait for other people to clean up the environment that we live in. So why wait? Why not we do it ourselves, and we do it now? It is more immediate and it's closer to our heart this way.
On
going to Pulau Ubin. It's one of Singapore's last remaining wild islands. You get there on one of these. This is a bumboat. It's easily accessible for the city. Hello. Oi! The island of Pulau Ubin, it's famous for its durian trees, the local variety, and I have never, I'm a durian virgin. You don't get many of these in England, so I'm going to see what they taste like there. Oh, that is awful. They're renowned for their smell. Believe it or not, these durian trees, they rely on pollination by bats, nectar and fruit bats, and great big creamy flowers. They hang down from the branches. They only open at night. The bats come in and pollinate them. They're white so the bats can see them. At night they don't smell too much because bats don't rely on smell to find the flowers that they're pollinating. So anyone that loves durians, they actually have to thank bats for them. And this is the technique, I've been told. God. There we go. We've got animals in England called hedgehogs, and this durian fruit is as prickly as a hedgehog, and I must say that doesn't smell very appetising. It doesn't look very appetising either. It looks like something that would come out of your nose, but if orangutans like them, if Singaporeans love them, let me see. It's actually delicious. I'm going to take a few of these home. For a vegetarian, that's perfect. That's the first time I've ever tasted a durian. And I've got to thank flying foxes and nectar bats for that. Thank you, bat. The island is around 1,000 hectares in extent, and there's around 150 people living here. But there's other big mammals here too. There's more of them than there are of people, and it's normally difficult to see mammals in the wild, but there's a very special one here that you can attract in with coconut. She's really tucking into that coconut. I think she's finding it as delicious as I found those durian fruits. And I'll be coming back to the island of Pulau Ubin next week to see some of its rare and unique bird life.
The ocean, a giant, living, breathing ecosystem of life that contains a treasure trove of secrets and gems. I'm here at Diversity to begin my training to become a certified open water diver.
Welcome to Diversity. Basically tonight will be your first session of academic.
Scuba diving is perhaps one of the easiest sports to pick up. Requiring nothing more than a weekend, this sport allows you to explore the vast nature of the underwater universe. The pool session comes after the theory lessons in the classroom. Here we get familiarized with the basics of diving, as well as the equipment required and how to set it up for a safe and enjoyable dive.
See whether it's secure or it slips down or not.
Hi, I'm here at the pool doing a pool session as part of my diving course. We just learned how to strap a tank onto the BCD, which is the buoyancy control device. We have to strap it on really tightly to prevent it from falling off. The tank itself weighs about 15 kg, but in the water it's weightless. Now I got a taste of this. I can't wait for the real thing. After the pool session, I headed out to Pulau Hantu with Andrew and some others for my very first open water dive. I'm finally at Pulau Hantu and I'm gonna make my very first dive. diving brings you in close contact with so many different and amazing creatures that you would otherwise never see. Some of these creatures include various sponges, corals, seahorses, and even scorpionfish. Diving is truly a sport that lets you get up close and personal with nature.
Wow, that was great! I saw a couple of fishes there. They were butterfly fish. Lots of Neptune sponges. If only the water's a bit more clearer.
So Andy, how was your first dive?
Well, it was good. The first time when I first entered the water, because the water is very murky, there was some apprehension. I can't see where I was going, unlike the pool. But once after a while, you start breathing, you start to enjoy the scenery, you see more things at the bottom. It starts to become very enjoyable. And what about you guys? How do you all started diving in the first place?
Oh, for me, I started diving last October, and it was like you. My first feeling when I went underwater was a bit of like apprehensive and stuff, because you can't really see, unlike the pool. But once you get deeper and as the water gets clearer, actually you feel much more relaxed and you breathe quite normally.
The visibility at Hantu is not that good, but if you slow down and really take a chance to appreciate what's around you, you really can see quite a lot. Like this morning, I did see, for example, a stingray that's around this large. There's quite abundant of wildlife here, but you really gotta stay slow and look for small things. Otherwise, Hantu is a great place.
This is really nostalgic. I used to do my sampling here when I was in my undergrad days. I used to snorkel in, we collect corals, we collect seaweed, lots of things you can see underwater. Now I'm back again, diving in this area, it brings back so much memories. Singapore is surrounded by islands filled with numerous underwater habitats. Because of our poor visibility, you might think there's nothing there, but if you have to go down and have a closer look, you discover that there's lots of marine life to be seen. I'm gonna go for my next dive. See you next time on Nature at Our Doorstep.
Next week on Nature at Our Doorstep.
Walking and pushing around later.
MediaCorp celebrates 40 years of television.